Orisha, also known as Orisa and Orishas, are supernatural entities usually referred to as deities in the Yoruba religion of West Africa, though they are emanations or avatars of the supreme being Olodumare. Their number is usually given as 400 plus 1, another way of saying, without number, or innumerable. Belief in the Orishas is thought to have evolved between 500 to 300 BCE but is most likely much older, as this dating is supported by archaeological evidence and there are many West African sites still unexcavated. According to the Yoruba belief, Olodumare, which is the supreme god, or as other calls him, Olorun, olofin, dwelling high in the heavens, is too vast for the human mind to comprehend and so released different aspects of itself, each of which received a certain domain of influence randomly. Olodumare threw the powers of dominion into the air, and whichever Orisha caught one was responsible for that domain of influence. Orisha, also spelled Orisha or Orisa, is any of the deities of the Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria. They are also venerated by the Edo of southeastern Nigeria, the Yu of Ghana, Benin, and Togo, and the Fon of Benin, who refer to them as Vodun. Although there is much variation in the details of the rituals and mythology of these deities among these West African peoples, the underlying religious concept is essentially the same. The Orishas traveled to the Americas and the Caribbean via the transatlantic slave trade, when many of the Yoruba were enslaved, and there they became syncretized with the Christian saints of Catholicism. The Yoruba were able to continue practicing their religion by nominally becoming Catholic, as the saints served the same purpose in Catholicism as the Orishas did in their native belief, as mediators between a believer and the supreme deity. In the modern day, people invoke the Orishas in personal or communal rituals for spiritual strength, enlightenment, or assistance in daily challenges. Although there are many Orishas, 7 are understood as the most powerful and have become the most popular among modern-day adherents. Orisha worship today is practiced by people around the world in several forms, including the systems of Santeria, Candomblé, and Vodun, as well as nominal Catholics and those who identify as neo-pagan, Wiccan, or New Age practitioners. An Orisha may be said to be a deity. They may be said to arise when a divine power to command and make things happen converges with a natural force, a deified ancestor, and an object that witnesses and supports that convergence and alignment. An Orisha, therefore, is a complex multi-dimensional unity linking people, objects, and powers. The word Orisha is related to several other Yoruba words referring to the head. The main one, Ori, refers, first of all, to the physical head atop a person's body. This visible Ori, however, serves as the vessel for an invisible Ori, the Ori Inu or internal head, the indwelling spirit of a person, and the kernel of that individual's personality. The Ori Inu exists before birth. It comes from God and determines an individual's character and fate. Just as the physical head perches atop the body, the Ori Inu stands over and rules, guides, and controls a person's actions. The witnessing object for the Ori Inu is a shrine for the head called Isle Ori, meaning the house of the head, a pointed crown-like container covered with cowrie shells, whose white color indicates purity and good character. In themselves, the cowrie shells symbolize wealth, because they were once a medium of economic exchange. The white cowrie shell covering of the Isle Ori also alludes to the white feathered bird called Eiye Ororo, the symbol of the mind that God puts into the head at birth. The Isle Ori seems to say that a good head, which means good character and a good mind, constitutes true wealth. The head also has other values associated with it that derive from the hierarchical nature of Yoruba social life. The Yoruba use the head as a metaphor for supremacy and chieftainship. It means the first in rank and status, the most important and influential person or official. Age, which is a priority in time, is highly valued and respected, and it is also an important aspect of status and ranking. The Orishas are divided into 3 categories: primordial divinities, deified ancestors, and personified natural forces and phenomena. In West African religions and in traditions that have been influenced by them, primordial divinities are those that existed long before the creation of the world as it is now known. Some of these Orishas are primordial in the sense that they existed before the creation of human beings. They originated directly from God without any human aid. They are Olorun, people of heaven. They came from heaven, and they still reside there. Other Orishas are innumerable, the earth's first inhabitants that are now sacred beings dwelling on and in the earth. Deified ancestors are people who lived in this world after it was created and had such a profound impact upon it that their descendants have continued to promote their memory. They were kings, cultural heroes and heroines, warriors, and founders of cities who had a major influence on the lives of the people and Yoruba society through their contributions to the culture and social life. In the Yoruba tradition, these were individuals who were able to establish control over a natural force and make a bond of interdependence with it, attracting its beneficent action toward themselves and their people while sending its destructive aspects onto enemies. To achieve this degree of control and interdependence, the ancestors made offerings and sacrifices. Later these ancestors disappeared, according to tradition, in a remarkable manner, such as by sinking into the ground, rising into the heavens on chains, committing suicide and not dying, or turning to stone. Such a disappearance was not true death, rather, it was the occasion of the ancestors' transition into an Orisha. Several primordial divinities have oral traditions stating that they were once the chiefs or kings of still existing Yoruba towns. When these ancestors disappeared and became Orishas, their children began to sacrifice to them and to continue whatever ceremonies the Orishas had performed when they were on earth. This worship was passed on from one generation to the next. In their native areas, people formed groups that worshipped and venerated these Orishas and secured a place for their cult group in the religious and social organizations of the towns where they lived. Eventually, a local Orisha's cult might spread to other towns and become more widely known. The worship of other deified ancestors, however, remained confined to the towns where it originated, even sometimes restricted to particular families or lineages. Personified natural forces and phenomena. From the Yoruba point of view, any element of the natural world that has manifold and useful functions for human beings has a spirit dwelling in it. There are many spirits of this kind, but some of them are so outstanding that they supersede all others. They too are Orishas. Among them are the earth, rivers, lakes, lagoons, mountains, certain trees, and the wind. Worship is directed at the Orisha that dwells within the natural phenomenon, often at the site where the natural phenomenon manifests itself. These specific forces of nature are part of the Orisha because the cult of the Orishas directs itself toward them. The Orishas, however, are only one aspect of these natural forces. An Orisha is that part of a natural force that is disciplined and controllable and that can be cultivated by people using ritual means. There is always the other part, the part of the natural force that can be explored but never completely known, the aspect of nature that will always remain wild and escape definition. To the benefit of human beings, the Orishas mediate between humanity and these forces of the natural world by putting the tameable aspects of nature under human control while standing between humanity and that part of nature that cannot be tamed, hemmed in, or controlled by human beings. Orisha worshippers see the tamed natural force and the deified ancestor as insoluble linked. This unity is represented by a witnessing object that acts as the material support of an Orisha's power to command and cause things to happen. A collection of these objects, even if it is not permanent, constitutes an altar where the Orisha is present and can be addressed through prayers and offerings. In this context, the altar may be referred to as the Orisha or as the Orisha's face. Everything that went into forming these witnessing objects, from leaves, earth, metal, pottery, or animal bones to the incantations and sacrifices that praised and coerced the Orisha's many powers to lodge in one place, becomes part of the Orisha's secret. The general idea of the Orisha as a deified ancestor whose descendants perpetuate the ancestors' practices is reflected in the self-identification of the members of an Orisha cult group's priesthood as that Orisha's children. This idea also undergirds a practice of secrecy that excludes from some part of an Orisha's ceremonies people who have not been initiated into its priesthood. However, it becomes the responsibility of the Orisha's human descendants to transmit to subsequent generations the objects and secrets through which human beings can interact with the Orisha. Because each Orisha has particular occupations, places, skills, preferences, diseases, problems, capabilities, and misfortunes with which it is closely associated, devotees through the Orisha's priesthood can make appeals to the Orisha that is best able to resolve the problem they are experiencing. It is the Orishas who are the guardians and explicators of human destiny. Despite the ascendance of Christianity and Islam, many Yoruba and other West Africans still turn to the Orishas for help, aid, and advice in the great and small problems of life. Thanks for watching till the end. Check out our channel for contents like this. Also ensure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell to get notified on our future videos.